We are tracking one of the most active weather systems to push through this season. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. In fact, emergency crews are preparing for flooding throughout the entire state. We're going to be tracking the potential for tornadoes as well. As we take a live look up at Donner Summit, it has been pretty quiet so far for today. Most of this year is seeing a fairly nice Sunday ahead of the President's Day holiday tomorrow, but major driving hazards developing overnight tonight through tomorrow. So anybody trying to get up and down the hill for tomorrow on that holiday is going to have some tough going, especially with slick, snow-covered roads, poor visibility, travel delays, chain controls, even the possibility of some road closures, especially with any spinouts or if Caltrans trying to clear the roads just gets behind and can't clear it safely for travel. Winter storm warning in effect starting tonight, continuing through Wednesday morning. That's the duration of how long we're going to continue to see dangerous travel in the Sierra. So this all really is unfolding tonight and through the start of our week. Our flood watch is in effect with millions of people affected by this, continuing through Wednesday morning as well. This gets going a little bit later into our Sunday evening. But again, periods of heavy rain as well as the chance of thunderstorms, which is going to elevate the risk of some minor flooding, especially for some roadways as well as storm drains. But our flood watch really, because of prolonged periods of potential for heavy rain at times, will cause additional stress on many of those rivers and streams. We're not looking at like huge widespread river flooding, but any creeks and streams as well as storm drains, even some local ponding on the roads or any low-lying areas will have a risk of some flooding. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Got to remember that over the course of the next 48 to 72 hours. Here's a look at our river forecast monitoring. We'll be watching this day by day, but right now the only place that we're really looking at on the main thoroughfare throughout the Central Valley is going to be the Sacramento River at Tehama Bridge. That is expected to reach flood stage during the evening on Monday. This will fluctuate as the California Nevada River Forecast Center watches our rainfall as it comes in, and any fluctuations, they'll be posting those updates daily as far as our river flooding, as well as the potential for any rises on those rivers. Here's a look at our precipitation since midnight. And so far, this weather system really hugging the coast with the heaviest rainfall right along the coast. But we have that low yet to move in. So we haven't seen much in the way of huge measurable rain throughout much of the valley. Most of that has been coast side here. As far as the Central Valley, Stockton, Modesto getting in on some of that rain, as well as some of the coastal communities, including San Francisco, Fairfield for the coastal valley, about a tenth of an inch or so. So much more to come, though, overnight tonight through early tomorrow. The big story so far for this weather system throughout the Central Valley has been the wind. So far, we've seen peak wind gusts at about 35 to over 40 miles per hour in some places, especially for the coast. 43-mile-per-hour peak wind gusts for San Francisco. Keep in mind, again, we do have some gusty winds that will continue on and off throughout the course of this weather system. And for the Sierra, could see those wind gusts, especially at the ridges, not where we necessarily see travel, but at the ridges, up to about 100 miles per hour. Wind advisory in effect for the valley and towards the foothills for tonight into early Tuesday morning. That's how long we're going to hang on to those winds. Not all together, or are we going to see that consistently through Tuesday morning, but we'll see periods of those gusty winds developing throughout the valley and the foothills. Now we're going to get another surge coming in at about 9 o'clock tonight throughout the Central Valley, and then we're going to see them die down for the morning commute. Now, it's not going to be much of a morning commute given that tomorrow is President's Day, so we get a little break in the really active volumes of traffic coming through. Once we head into the afternoon, since we have that risk of thunderstorms, we'll once again see those winds potentially pick up, especially some isolated areas of some gusty winds could see them upwards of about 45 miles per hour. We'll get another break coming our way, and then we start to see everything widespread calming down by the time we get to Tuesday morning. But again, gusty winds throughout the valley. And unfortunately for the Sierra, anytime we have those gusty winds, that is going to elevate that avalanche danger. So an avalanche watch in effect through very early Monday morning. Now, day by day, we're going to have to assess this. So we'll wait for word to see if this gets elevated to an avalanche warning. But right now, it's just an avalanche watch. All eyes on that Sierra. Lots of folks like to head up to the high country to take advantage of the 3-day weekend, but unfortunately not the best travel period. In fact, the heaviest snow is forecasted to come in overnight Sunday through Monday, we'll see that snow line jump up to about 7,000 feet. That's still going to be below the passes. And then it starts to fall generally to about 6,000 feet. Now, during the evening hours and overnight hours, we'll see that fall to about 5,000 to 5,500 feet. But generally speaking, we're going to keep that snow line at about 6,000 feet during the duration of this storm. And you can see it's a very obvious counterclockwise circulation of this low. The position of this low tomorrow is really going to be enforcing and enhancing the risk of seeing some severe weather into our Monday. That comes late morning through early evening. The type of weather that we could see: thunderstorms, hail, wind, and not only funnel clouds, but actually tornadoes. These are going to be smaller in nature. We're not talking about the Central Plains kind of tornadoes. Usually an EF0, EF1 would be more on the rare side, but certainly has happened in Central California. The impacts also coming with the risk of thunderstorms will be flooding, power outages because of gusty winds, as well as tree damage. Now, what is the difference between tornado and funnel cloud? We mostly get cold air funnels this time of year. In California, not so much in the nature of tornadoes, but we certainly have seen them. Tornado is a violently rotating column of air, whereas a funnel cloud is a rotating funnel-shaped cloud from the base of the cloud. Tornado must be in contact with the ground. Funnel cloud cannot touch the ground. And then a tornado usually has debris visible, and a funnel cloud does not cause damage. That's not to say that we won't get wind damage coming from gusty winds, outflow boundaries, etc., from thunderstorms, but a funnel cloud itself wouldn't cause the damage. Confirmed Northern Valley tornadoes since 1970. You can see we've certainly had our fair share of tornadoes. 17 for San Joaquin County is going to be the most in northern, and just up to about Central California. Fresno accounting for the most at 27. And then also Butte County coming in there at 17 as well. We had one confirmed tornado in Tuolumne, and that happened to be last year. Looking at our risk for tomorrow, we come in category 2 here, slight risk throughout the Central Valley. Here you can see the primary threats being mostly heavy rain, lightning, strong winds, and a possibility of some hail, but also for those funnel clouds and tornadoes, we have about a 5% risk probability of a tornado within 25 miles of the point of the shaded area. So that's going to be on this brown area right here, about a 2% risk there for areas shaded in green. And then also the probability of those gusts up to about 55 plus miles per hour will be in effect for tomorrow. Slight chance of some overnight thunderstorms developing here for early Monday morning. You can see this line of enhanced reflectivity on our future radar, where we expect the potential of some heavy downpours, possibility of some gusty overnight winds. Might not want to park that car underneath any trees for tonight. And then as we head into tomorrow, a bit of a break there at 7 a.m., but then we start to see enhanced snowfall for the high country, and that means periods of heavy snow as well. Now at 1 p.m., with a little bit of break in the cloud action, we're going to add to the instability, and we are looking at a pretty good chance of seeing some thunderstorms develop throughout the valley for tomorrow afternoon. This will be in play throughout the central and southern part of the Sacramento Valley, northern San Joaquin Valley as well, all the way through the Coastal Valley region, including Fairfield and Vacaville along I-80. Snow periodically for the high country. In terms of total rainfall, just from this one weather system. So tomorrow's not the only day we're going to see rain. This will continue all the way through Wednesday morning. Roughly about 1.5 inches to almost 2 inches plus rain for the valley, as well as the foothills. Could see some pockets in there of almost 3 inches of rain for parts of the foothills. Total snowfall, this is going to be impressive. About 1 to 10 inches for the lowest elevations. Once we get into some of those higher elevations, we're calling for anywhere from 2 to 3 feet of snow possible for this year. That's why really dangerous travel developing for Monday into Tuesday for this year, with heavy snow really starting to ramp up overnight tonight through Monday. We have that risk of severe weather on Monday. We talked about that. Slightly lesser risk on Tuesday, but we'll continue to call for that chance of thunderstorms into our Tuesday forecast. That could linger into Wednesday as well. As far as our winter storm severity index, you can see it's really right along the Sierra spine here, with extreme impacts all the way into parts of the central and southern Sierra. So this is really a statewide issue that we're going to be watching, and you can see why as we expand this satellite and radar view. This extends all the way from the California-Oregon border down through Southern California, with this plume of moisture continuing to push its way inland overnight tonight through tomorrow and well into the beginning of what will be the start of the work week on Tuesday for many folks, since tomorrow is that holiday. Here's a look at our future radar again for tomorrow. We're looking at not so much widespread heavy rain for tomorrow morning, but then this is going to pick up during the day, with the chance of thunderstorms really rolling through during the early afternoon. And all of this will push its way into the Sierra, becoming heavy at times overnight Monday into Tuesday again. A bit of a break as we head into Tuesday morning, and then we're right back at it as the big push of final moisture comes through on Tuesday into Wednesday. And then that weather system is primarily out of there. Now, we will be watching for this developing low off the coast and how that will impact perhaps our upcoming weekend forecast. We're going to be shifting gears just a little bit when we look at the Pacific North American pattern. We've been in more of that positive phase, but as we head towards the end of February into the beginning of March, we actually start to enter into a negative phase, which favors more of those colder storms coming through. You know, today felt kind of warm and a little bit muggy outside. As we head deeper into the end of the month and beginning of March, it does appear we're going to be in for some colder storms. So this very much follows the Climate Prediction Center outlook for hazardous weather in the next 8 to 14 days. You can see we're kind of moderate risk here for the flood risk, but once we head into the snow, we actually see that risk increase for moderate in through the Sierra spine. Not necessarily the high risk, but certainly in that more moderate risk. And then when we get to the winds, this also will be in the moderate risk zone, mostly for the Sierra in the northern part of the state, as we start to see a bit more of those colder systems perhaps affecting us by the end of the month and early March. That's why we're not quite done with the storm cycle yet. We haven't really seen that big drying out period. Likely wetter for the extreme northern part of the state and through the Pacific Northwest. So no longer kind of bull-nosed in through Southern California for that long-range forecast, but likely cooler. So again, kind of entering into that negative phase, perhaps by the time we get to the end of the month. It would be nice to take some pressure off of some of that runoff that's been coming into many of the downstream reservoirs, as well as the creeks, the streams, the rivers, kind of be able to bank on keeping some more of that snowpack by the end of the month and early next month, and then meter that out a little bit later in the season. So this is the statewide view for tomorrow, and you can see, again, impacting the entire state. That's why emergency officials really on high alert here as they start to determine where they need to assess the damage, perhaps, and send out crews to deal with some of the flooding issues. Wednesday, we're starting to see the back edge of this storm system finally moving its way through, and a break on Thursday, a much needed break. And it looks like that will last through Friday, potentially Saturday, before we get to Sunday and we start this over again. Now, that particular weather system doesn't look quite as active as what we're seeing for tomorrow. And then you can really see what's happening here. Look what happens with this storm track. We are going to favor more of these Canadian storms starting to move on through in the Pacific Northwest, as well as the Gulf of Alaska, perhaps giving us more of that cold shot of air through the northern part of the state. And that would certainly boost that snowpack again as we head towards the end of February into the beginning of March. So we'll look at our rundown here of our forecast as we head into President's Day for Monday. We are looking at areas of snow heavy at times that will continue into Tuesday and even Wednesday with fluctuating snow levels. Chance of thunderstorms primarily for our Monday forecast. Now that extends all the way to the coast. We'll get a bit of a break there with the active weather Thursday into Friday. But here's what we're looking at for the 10-day forecast. For President's Day, active weather continuing into Tuesday, Wednesday, kind of the back edge of that system rolling on through, a break, and then we're right back, it looks like, to more rain and snow by the end of next weekend, into the following beginning of the next work week. So that is a look at that forecast. Be sure to keep it right here because we're going to keep you updated through this entire weather cycle as we deal with this active weather and any of those hazards that we'll be following for tomorrow as well.